Hello. Hi, I'm Lise Colucci, and I am one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello and welcome. First, I want to start by saying if you have not subscribed to this channel and you would like to do so, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up if you think trauma bonds is something you want to talk about, or if you enjoy this program at any point all the way through, so that I know which topics you guys are interested in and what you need more of and what you have had enough of, all of that. So, and also, if you would like notifications of my coming live, text me at 33222 and text the words Lise Live, all one word, LISE, and I will send you guys a text. That's the only text you'll get, about 5 to 10 minutes before I come on. So that is out of the way, and we've gotten it's working today. Hello. Hi, Belle. My Friday is going well, and a relaxing weekend I'm not so sure about, but we'll have a weekend, right? Picked a brilliant topic for today. Well, excellent. Oh, dropping things. Okay. All right, well, let's get going. So trauma bonds. Trauma bonds. What are they? Trauma bonds are, I have, again, with my very few notes here, trauma bonds are what happens when we are unable to leave a toxic person, when we feel the draw to be with that person. It is the bonding that happens. It feels like love and connection. It is an addiction. It feels like you're unable to let go of the toxic person. You maybe can't get out of the relationship because of it. You have cognitive dissonance, which means your head may know exactly what's going on in that toxic relationship, but your heart and your emotions are telling you, but it's okay. I can make it work. There's hope. Let's just keep going. You know, your head and your heart don't sync up when you have those. You get trauma bonds create also abuse amnesia. So we forget the abuses that happened because of the trauma bonds. What happens? Hello, Web Education, Life Survival, and JCat. Hello, hello. So what happens when we're trauma bonded is what's going on is, first of all, it starts from the cycle of abuse. So when you are with someone who has groomed you and has love bombed you, it creates all kinds of chemicals in your body. All right. It creates all kinds of thoughts in your head, and it creates all kinds of emotions in your emotions. And let's just stick with the chemicals first that starts to happen. Okay. So we have this surge of oxytocin and all these great hormones that go on. When someone's love bombing you, it feels good. There's a reason it feels good. Your body is there's a signal that goes to your brain that is in the pleasure center of your brain. It releases hormones, it releases chemicals, it releases oxytocin and other things that make you feel adrenaline, all kinds of things that all mix together that make you feel loved, cared for, all of these great feelings that bond you. That's the bonding chemicals, right? They bond you to another person. Well, then what happens when you have the devalue cycle? It's when it becomes a cycle. So what happens is then they devalue you. And when they devalue you, you have cortisol and all these other chemicals happen. The oxytocin is no longer present, and you're left feeling, because they don't have, a narcissist is manipulative and a narcissist is toxic, or a toxic person is abusing you with the way they treat you when they devalue you, you are left seeking the good, right? So there's nothing that you have nothing good, and you're seeking. Okay. So on top of all the horrible feelings of the levels of cortisol rising and your adrenaline pumping and all of that, you also have dopamine rising, which is increasing if the longer they devalue, the more you are seeking the affection. Okay. And as that goes on and goes on and goes on, they'll throw you a crumb, or they'll full on love bomb you, whatever they do to repeat the cycle of the love bombing and the devalue. When you get that crumb, or when you get that affection, or when you get even a full-blown love bomb, you're again pumped full of the oxytocin. The dopamine rises, the oxytocin rises, everything is all good and happy and lovely in your brain and your chemistry. And it is a huge rush, and you have absolute resolution most of the time, at least chemically, to the problem of the seeking, right? And it relieves, I can remember it relieving the feeling of that horrible anxiety that came from the devaluing, which I know now. I mean, I knew what was happening at the time, which is the cortisol and the adrenaline rising, right? And other things that I don't know, but it's brain chemistry happening in play, right? Because and um, it's emotional emptiness, right? Just seeking the need for it to be filled. It's that unresolvable rubbing up against something that should be good and could be good, but you can't make it good because they're not willing to, right? And as you're feeling that tension and you're feeling that sadness and anxiety, all it takes is a touch from a narcissist or a toxic person. All it takes is being shown affection, and especially through touch or sex or anything where there is a physical exchange for a lot of us. And you're instantly back. It's gone. The anxiety is gone. The relief is immediate for a lot of people in the moment. Okay. Because as soon as they walk away, as soon as they're not in your presence, it comes back again. Right. And so that cycle goes on and on and on. And we are trained and programmed because of that cycle to need it. It's highly attractive and addictive to us. So that's what's going on when you're trauma bonded, coupled with the massive confusion of what actually goes on within a narcissistically abusive relationship. So couple that with all of that, like just the chemical part, with the emotional stuff that goes on, with feeling like you're giving, and never having something back. And then you're given something back and they show you just how wonderful they can be. They show you that they understand you, that they care about you, that they love you, all in a flash, like a big giant, oh my gosh, they're finally getting it. There's hope. Okay. Imagine then, and emotionally, what happens when the tables turn and the other shoe drops, right? This is why we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop after, because this is what they do. That cycle emotionally and psychologically messes with your head. And it makes you, first of all, it makes you disbelieve the good and wait for the bad. And it also makes you have hope when things are really bad, that it can be really good. So it is completely conflicting psychological and emotional responses that are going on simultaneously. And you'll have layers. So in one area, they're love bombing you. In another area, they're devaluing you. Have you ever had that happen where a narcissist is telling you all these things that are devaluing, and then suddenly in another area, another aspect of your relationship or your life, they're praising you? Like maybe they are praising you for some amazing thing you did at work, at the same time devaluing everything about you as a human being. And that mixed message, it like does this number in your head where you can't put two and two together. And it's all part of this process, right? Because if you just stepped into that off the street and you hadn't had any of the setup of the grooming and the love bombing and all of that come first, you would walk away from it, right? You would be like, this is insanity. Who can live like this? But because of the way it's happened slowly over time, and it perpetuates into this thing, right? This bonding, that becomes the norm. And that's what you learn to seek, and you learn to live with, and you learn to cope with, in the befuddlement and the confusion of the psychological part, the gaslighting and the devaluing in itself. Who devalues someone they love to that degree? And then at the turn of a switch is loving you again, right? Confusing. So and then it can become mentally confusing into your mind, because you're trying to figure out what's happening. You're trying to figure out what's wrong with you, what you can make better, how you can fix it, all of this stuff. Meanwhile, the person is continuing this same cycle. So that's a little bit of a description of what goes on. I'm going to read a little bit of this and then come back with some other stuff. Trauma bonds are so very powerful, and I know from experience of breaking them that it takes an enormous amount of energy to deal with. It is toxic in addiction, and it hurts. That is correct. Happy Friday, Daniel, to you, and Paula. Hello. Web education. This couldn't have come at a better time. I'm so glad. Ask questions, please, because I'm going no script here, just a couple notes, and I may run out of stuff. And I need to know it helps me to know where you're at, so I can actually help you as a human being, not just in general, like to anyone who's listening, right? Belle says, big step today for the first time. Although I did no contact, I blocked I blocked the number, not his. Reason I felt used after this last Hoover, realized she was trying to triangulate me, not even dating. And this is going to come to a point, Paula, I'm going to talk about it very soon on what to do and what actually breaks the trauma bonds, in my opinion, and what I've seen help, or like things that massively help toward the breaking of trauma bonds. And you're right there. You're right there with it. Okay. What it has to do with is seeing the narcissist for who they are and taking action. And you did it. Okay, Nikki Ann, the anxiety of the cycle was the worst part while I was still in it. I woke up mid-panic attack every single morning. So thankful to be free now. The anxiety is it's so hard on you. It's so hard on your body, on your mind, on your it's hard on all of you, right? Belle says, I recall being in graduate studies and a professor telling us it will be this will be the equivalent to a black cat in a dark room searching for something that isn't there. To me, that is trauma bonds. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm here to tell you that it is actually a very trackable thing. It's a very understandable thing. So as I'm talking, if things don't make sense, please ask. Or if you have other questions, please ask, because I think it helps a lot to really know what you're experiencing. And that way you can apply it to what you're experiencing in the moment and somehow get a little bit of distance from it. Yes, says Nikki Ann, mixed messages. My ex would argue both sides of an argument in the same conversation. Right. Whatever, to disagree with me, right? He made me feel like I was taking crazy pills. It's because you were a big dose of his crazy pills, right? In his words. Anyway, let's see. Hi, Hannah. I'm not in contact, but I need to know how to stop thinking about him. What I could have done to fix it. Nothing, because if he's toxic, there's nothing you can do. You can only get yourself out of there, heal yourself, and move on and move forward with your life in a better way that is beneficial for you. There's nothing you can do to please a toxic person. There's nothing you can do to be enough. You know what I mean? Because you already are enough. The point is they're the ones who have the issue with not being able to see people for who they are and appreciate people as they are, because they're always needing supply. So, and also remember, Hannah, that if you haven't heard this before, I'll say it now. The narcissist needs negative supply as much as they need the positive supply. So they need the argument, they need the devaluing. If they didn't have the devaluing, they wouldn't have a place to project all the horrible things they feel about themselves. That's the facts. Okay. All right. I know I couldn't have fixed it. I just need to stop ruminating. Okay. So let's go on to some solutions for trauma bonds, and we can talk about that, because what you're talking about is that attachment to the narcissist that the trauma bonds create, right? Let me see. Our trauma, I'm going to read just two more of these and then I'll come back to that answer. Life Survival says, are trauma bonds harder to heal from if one has discarded versus going no contact? I don't think so. I think it's, okay, number one thing, I think, in breaking trauma bonds, in my opinion, and how you get there is a personal path. Okay, I can't tell you how to get there because it's going to be your journey, is seeing the narcissist for who they are and believing it with all of you, who you are. So in other words, stop making excuses for them. Stop using yourself as an excuse for their bad behavior. In other words, don't ask what you could do to make it better, because even though you know there is nothing you could do to make it better, because you can't fix them or the situation because it's not fixable. Instead, tell yourself, oh, there I did it again. I tried to take the blame. What happens in the life of a narcissist is everyone around them takes the blame. Everyone around them is accountable for their actions. They are never accountable. So if you see that they're a person that is never accountable to their own actions, and you see that as the truth, that is just who they are. You picture them as they are. That's who they are. They're showing you who they are. And they've shown you over and over and over and over again who they are. You got to believe it. 100% believe it. You cannot we live on hope and we live on seeing people's potential. A lot of us, more empathic people, tend to really see the good in people. It's not a bad trait. It's actually an amazing, incredible strength if you learn to use it correctly. You can't use it across the board. It's not true for everyone. Yes, these people have amazing potential. The fact is they can't meet it because the lack of empathy makes it so they can't actually go and get help and heal themselves, nor want to. They're perfect as they are. All right. It's everybody else that's the problem. So seeing the narcissist for who they are, 100%, as much as you can, really, truly accepting it, accepting that they are what they are that. You don't need to know if they have NPD. You don't need to know that they're even a narcissist. What you need to know is this is a toxic situation and this person has displayed manipulative and horrible tactics for how to treat me in a relationship. They aren't making changes. They aren't willing to discuss it in a way without gaslighting me. They aren't willing to take accountability for their actions. Not really. They may say sorry. They may say, oh, I know I messed up, but then they don't change anything, right? So when you see these actions over and over and over again, believe it. That's it. That in itself, it's like a pin popping at least one layer of the trauma bond. But it's not just hearing it. You have to feel it. And for everyone, it's different. Sometimes it's witnessing something. Sometimes it's a lot of journaling and kind of reconciling it within yourself. Sometimes it's talking about it. Sometimes it's getting coaching so that you can work on shifting your own personal beliefs about why you need to hang on to that relationship. It can be all kinds of reasons. Changing your thought patterns as well. Your thoughts are going to go back to the narcissist. The second step, the second biggest thing is self-focus. Take all of that energy that you are putting in to worrying about, thinking about, considering, all the stuff we do when we're thinking about a narcissist and we are trauma bonded. All of that, there is a huge amount of energy. Just if you think about them for 1 second and you think, what are they doing right now? I wonder if almost all of us are going to go reeling, right? We're going to go, oh, and our all this energy, all that energy could be going towards yourself. And it needs to be, in fact, it needs to be a self-focused healing. It's self-initiated and it's self-focused. Okay. It's not just going to happen because time will resolve it. And then suddenly you'll feel like being yourself again. You got to go in search of yourself again. And that's where you place the energy. When your energy is on and your focus is on the narcissist or the toxic person, you catch it. You say, there it goes again. Okay. Going to use it for myself and have things in place that actually help you find yourself. Take classes, go do things, journal, anything that brings you into yourself, sing, dance, do exercise, whatever, go run, anything that brings you into an internal place where you're working on the betterment of your own life. Does that make sense? Those two things combined, seeing them for who they are, and then taking direction in your own life. They kind of have this thing that works good together, and it seems to help people move through this. This isn't something that happens overnight. The realization can happen overnight that, oh my gosh, I see them, can happen overnight, but you don't know which night it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what the magic thing is that's going to be for you. So you just keep trying and you keep remembering, I need to see them for who they are. For me, what helped was trying to see all people for who they are. Oh, they're presenting themselves like this. That's who they are. And if they change that, then I'm going to question it and wonder what's going on, right? Seeing people's good and bad and accepting them. Like I have friends that just don't show up for me. They simply don't. One might say they're not even really friends. However, when we do make contact and we're connected, it's a really great exchange. So there's nothing bad in the exchange. There's nothing toxic in the way we treat each other. It's just that they're not there for me. Okay. I got to know who those people are so that I don't try to turn to them when I need someone. Does that make sense? That's seeing them for who they are and accepting it. Now, if I have a toxic person in my life and I kind of gloss over the toxic parts by trying to place hope on what they could be, I'm not seeing them for who they are. Does that make sense? So that is, to me, one of the biggest things. It's really a belief shift. You've been programmed physiologically, mentally, and emotionally, and sometimes even spiritually and financially into being reliant on this narcissist for being the source of the relief from your pain. The trauma bond and the devalue cycle, basically it sets up, they don't intentionally, I don't think this is just how it is. It sets up a situation where you have something causing an enormous amount of pain, and the source of that, the narcissist or the toxic person, is the relief from that pain. So it is a self-perpetuating machine to continually cycle and draw you back into that person over and over and over. And the longer you do it, the longer it gets in here, the longer it starts to set neural pathways, and there you go. You're stuck, but you're not really stuck. You just got to work to get out of it. So setting new neural pathways to get on your own trajectory toward your own life, that's what helps get you out. All right. I hope that was a long answer, Hannah, but that's what I got. Let's see. Okay. What do we have here? Yes, he caused the pain and then would be the one to eventually make me feel better. That's right. I grew emotionally dependent on him fixing my pain. Exactly. Now I'm just having to sit with it and process it alone. But you know what? Healthy processing of emotional pain happens alone. Okay? Often. Not always. Okay? You've got support. You've got a support group. We get you, right? We understand, and you're not fully alone. I know what you mean by alone, though. Okay. It's different than being alone. You're not alone. Okay. You have a support group. If you're not on SPAN, you can join the Spanly over there and join us all when supporting each other. If you need more, we have group coaching. If you need more than that, there's individual coaching. You know, if you can find a therapist, you can turn to friends. Maybe they don't get your pain, but maybe they get that you're sad, and that's enough. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to understand all of it. A good friend can just sit there with you and just be like, let's just do this, or let me take you out for a meal, or let me do this, like stuff, right? To help you feel loved, even if they don't get your pain. So understand that people don't necessarily need to totally get what you're going through to be able to be support to you. The main person that becomes your support is yourself. And that's important in breaking trauma bonds. You are the source of your own healing. Convinced of that. Okay. I'm convinced of it. All we do here is give you information. All we do in coaching is help you see different perspectives and help you focus your life toward your own aim, right? You're the one doing it. Okay. And that's what's beautiful, because what happens, and this is the beautiful benefit of having been with a toxic person, is you learn how to be self-sufficient in your own emotional experience. It grows you up emotionally. And you will raise your emotional intelligence if you keep working in this way, and you keep working toward realizing that you can be the source of your own comfort. And once you lose the reliance on someone else to be that, there's a lot of freedom. Yes, other people make us feel better, and other people give us comfort. That's a different situation, and not what I'm saying. I'm not saying go off and be by yourself. I'm saying that even by yourself, you can find what you need to help yourself. Sitting with your pain and processing it alone sometimes means finding what it is you need. Like, sometimes friends don't even know what you need. Like, picture what you need. What do I need right now? And try and give it to yourself. All right. Okay. And if it's not him or her, it's not the narcissist. That's not the answer. That's relief in a toxic way. What do I need in a healthy way? Does that make sense? What's happening here? We've got something going on here. What's happening here? Okay. All right, I'm skipping that. Guys, play nice, okay? Because I don't have anyone in here helping me out. Be nice to one another, please. This is a place of support. If anyone is not supporting, please ignore them. Okay. I'm trying to catch up here. Okay. Or are you saying what she said? This is her reply. I'm sorry. I thought somebody said that to you in here. I'm like, can't deal with that right now. Fix it later. Paula. Okay, Paula. She said this to you. This is what she said. Wait, she said, are you stupid? You were stupid, and I'd be happy. I'd happily with her as a girlfriend, so don't know what you think you know about me, but let me tell you, you don't know shit. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. Well, this is why we don't talk to them, right? There's never going to be resolution. Here's the thing with the trauma bonds. Okay. We want the relationship often to get so bad. We want proof. We want recognition. We want validation. We want understanding. We want the person to take friggin' accountability and say, I am a horrible toxic person. What are you doing with me? You know what I mean? We want to catch them red-handed. What we don't see is when they're often just treating us like terrible and saying horrible things to us, we take it. And the reason we take it is because we emotionally become invested in it. And that is the seeing. Right there, that is the seeing. When they reply to you like that, Paula, that's the seeing. That is who that person is. She is no good. She is not a good communicator. She's not a loving, kind person. And she's not good for your life. So what do we do with that? It's a big old block, right? Okay. And the blocking. So another way to break trauma bonds is no contact. We talked about no contact for an hour yesterday. So go watch that if you need some information on no contact. But no contact is super important. Because every time you're exposed to the trauma bonds, every time you're around the narcissist, every time you have sight of them, hear of them, think of them, you are reinitiating the trauma bonding. It's happening, whether you're doing it with your own thoughts or whether it's happening because they're hoovering you or whatever, or they're still in your life. So every time you see them, you're stepping back into the trauma bonds. I thought I could break it within it. I thought I was above it all. Sorry, it's not going to happen. It can't. Some people can get really close. They can get really close to breaking it, but it's still there. Okay. Yeah. It's the more you know, the more education you have on what a narcissist is, what a toxic person, what a toxic relationship looks like, what emotional abuse is. The more you have information on that, regardless of whether or not this person's a narcissist, maybe they're just toxic, right? Just toxic, right? Maybe it's a situation where we don't know the diagnosis. Let's put it that way. Doesn't matter. If there is trauma bonds going on, then I forgot my point. Anyway, you have to understand the things that are going on within the relationship itself, regardless of who the person is. That's what I'm getting at. When we're in discussion, I am gaslit. I am never listened to. I don't have a voice. I'm told to be quiet. I'm told to shut up. I'm told I'm no good. I'm shown I'm no good, but told I'm wonderful. That's the worst one, I think. Well, maybe not, but that's a pretty up there. You know, you're shown you're nothing by the lack of attention, by the lack of listening, by the not showing up on time, by the not wanting to spend time with you, on and on and on it goes. But at the same time, you're told you're a wonderful, amazing person. What kind of mixed message is that, right? Totally messes with your head, and it deepens these trauma bonds because we're getting the affection and the devalue all in one nice platter. It's just all served as one meal. Crazy. So the more you understand it, the closer you can get to being able to intellectually understand how to break a trauma bond. Everything is applied. Nothing is just going to happen because you understand. Discovery, understand, and then there's the last step, which is overcome. And there's a reason that it's not just discovery and understand, boom, I'm better. Because first of all, that would be dub instead of duo. And, it's not the dub system. It's a duo system. It just wouldn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. Understanding is not the final step. You have to overcome, and overcoming is action. The overcoming is the action that it takes for yourself to initiate getting through it. Okay. Talking a lot. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to this? Because I'm just going on and on here. Okay. Oh, good. Life survival saying it's helpful. Get going. Don't know what I'm saying half the time. Just keep going. Okay. Whoa, what happened? All right. If I missed anything, please ask again. Okay. I'm having my own reading issues here today. Can you be trauma bonded to a narcissist who's a friend? Yes, you can be trauma bonded to someone who's not a narcissist. The trauma bonding happens when you have a cycle of toxic interaction that creates the push-pull. All right. So yeah, you can totally be trauma bonded to a friend. You can be trauma bonded to a parent. You can be trauma bonded to anyone who's toxic. Really, if they're enough in your head and they're enough in your heart, that's all it takes. All it takes actually is being in your head, because you don't even need you can be trauma bonded to a boss, because you're trying to please, trying to please, trying to please. And then the emotions come in because it's about pleasing. It's not emotional, like, I love you. It's not romantic, right? You can be trauma bonded to anyone toxic that uses manipulative abuse cycles in their life. You don't think what will go away, Jack? A lot of things are keeping me bonded. Good conversations. Yeah. Lots in common. Yeah. The amount of work it took to get where we were. You're talking potential, my friend, and you're an amazing heart. Okay. You have an amazing heart and you have such deep appreciation of people's condition and the things people have lived through. You have to believe you can find these in someone else too. You can find that you're going to find way more than that in someone else. Those are easy, honestly. To go out there and find good conversation is actually not that hard. To go out there and find things in common, it can be difficult for a little while, but it starts to flow when you start doing the things that you enjoy. You start doing something. I love kayaking, and you go out kayaking, you're going to meet kayakers. So you've already got that built in, right? Because you like kayaking and they're out kayaking and they like it, you're going to talk about kayaking. You're going to talk about the water and the conditions and swimming and the nature, and you're going to talk about your jobs, and it's going to flow, right? That part's easy. The amount of work it took to get where we were, the reason it was such hard work is because the toxic person made it so hard. They make us work so hard to be with them that it feels like if we let go of that, we've failed. Does that make sense? They make us work and work and work, and everything is work. That it feels like letting go of that is like letting go of something you've built, right? But really, if you look at it, take like 10 steps back and look at that situation. What you built was built on crazy and toxic. It wasn't built on mutual sharing. It was built on one person serving another. And so what you're talking about there is seeing a potential and letting go of a dream and letting go and grieving. And we have to grieve it. It's the way it is. We do. We have to be willing to step into the grief of letting go. Hard as that is. But again, we're not alone, and you can learn to have your own back. You can learn to trust in your spirituality and your friends, in strangers that give you kindness. You don't have to trust the person, but trust the experience. You can learn to trust in people, other survivors, and people who come on and talk about it like this and see that you're not alone. And that can help at least give you some light in the grief, right? Let's see here. Whoop. Keep going, Lise. Okay. About what? I have a few more things. About what? My mother is the queen of mixed messages. Hello, Patrice. Always saying she loves me unconditionally. I don't believe she's capable of love. She's not, because she's seeing you. She loves you unconditionally. And this is, I don't mean this. You deserve unconditional love, my friend. You are one big little bundle of joyous love. Okay. You really are. But a narcissist loves what you are to them. And when it's a narcissistic mother, it's an extension of self for them. So of course they love you unconditionally. You're theirs. You are them, right? They love themselves. They don't really love. It's not love. It's they are projecting their insecurities of not being loved themselves, really, all over you. So, and it's sad, and that makes you feel sad for them. But at the same time, the lack of empathy and the lack of seeing you as an individual person makes it toxic to be around, regardless. So, and their love is different. It's objectifying. It's not a kind of love that is because of who you are. It's the kind of love of because of what you do for them and what you represent to them and how it makes them look. All right. That says, hey, Lise, have you covered the fact that then having multiple patterns can also expose you to life-threatening diseases? That alone made me stop. Yeah, it does. What are the effects of these trauma bonds? What does it cause in your life? It causes you to lose. Number one biggest thing you lose from a narcissist is time. They steal our time, because not only are we losing time with them, So many people, you don't know how many people say, I should have got out when I saw it, when I first saw it. I wasted X amount of years of my life, blah, blah, blah. Lifetime, time. It's what you hear over and over again from people who get out. They think, or like web education said about having built something, and that's time oriented, right? All this time spent on this relationship and this person that for me was really real. Well, excuse me, you also lose the time from the point that there's the discard, or you leave them into the future until you break those trauma bonds. So you lose all that time too. It's not really time lost because you're healing and you're away, but it's still time being spent back toward the narcissistic person, and we need to stop giving them our time, right? That's the beauty of breaking trauma bonds and getting out, is you get to stop giving your time away into the void. And that's all it is with them. So, and yes, it can have extreme impacts on your body. Having multiple partners. Yeah, of course, they can expose you to disease. And everything they do is exposing you to something toxic, right? Even their goodness is exposing you to toxicity. Because when they're being good, all it is a loop back to the bad. When they're being nice and kind, it's just a loop back to the devaluing. It goes hand in hand. Their form of relationship is love bomb and devalue. You can call it that, or let's just say push-pull. That's their form of relationship, push-pull. Pull you in, push you away. Pull you in, push you away. Simultaneously at the same time, it's what creates these trauma bonds, and it's the way they relate. So that alone is toxic and can make you sick, regardless of how many partners they have, which also can totally expose you to diseases, right? Okay. Okay. I was in the hospital so many times, right? Yeah. This is really wonderful space to have available for us. We so need it. I'm glad. Let's keep going. If I missed a question, please repeat it. I'm having tracking trouble today, keeping all my head in all the places I need to be. All right. So what is it causing you when you have these, when you're trauma bonded? What do you feel besides the complete addiction to the person? Besides the draw back to them, what are you feeling besides them? What are you feeling about yourself? Most people feel, desperation. Hey, Jess, how are you? You're sorry I went through this too. That's okay. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be here. Honestly, right? I wouldn't be able to talk about it this way, at least. And I probably wouldn't be here. So it's all right. You need to find my reality, your reality. That's right. The need to find your reality. You don't know who you are. The after effects, when you realize you're trauma bonded, you're in a fog. You're in this vortex going, everything pouring toward the narcissistic person, right? Everything is going away from self. So you start to doubt yourself. You doubt your ability to know what's right and wrong because you're so conflicted with the cognitive dissonance that is part of the trauma bonding. The cognitive dissonance being that your mind is telling you one thing and the rest of you is telling you something else. In fact, your mind and emotions, you can have your mind telling you this is wrong. This person is bad for me. And your heart ready to leave, closed, cut off completely. And your body saying, yeah, I want to have sex with them. It's intertwined. It's all entangled. It all goes together. And that's another, it's cognitive dissonance. It's confusing. And what do you think that makes you feel? Total self-doubt. I can't even trust myself to take care of myself because look, I can't get out of this situation. It can cause things I can't read that I wrote down because I was scribbling. Self-esteem issues, all kinds of self-esteem issues, right? After a toxic relationship, it can cause body image issues, right? It can cause your body to break down. It can cause, let's go here, loneliness, sadness, hopeful, addicted, lost, right? It's funny how I love that. It's like a really sad little poem. Lonely, sad, hopeful, addicted, lost. With that hopeful in the middle, I just want to cry, right? Because I know what that means. Because normally we put hopeful in a positive. And absolutely, that hopeful that's the piece. You know what, Robin? If you can let go of that hopeful and just feel the lonely, sad, addicted, and lost, you're a step closer to seeing them for who they are. It's that hopeful that holds us there. So I think with trauma bonding, you find your own hook. You find the hook for yourself. What hooks you in? We're all different. What are you afraid of? Abandonment, rejection, being alone? What is it? What are you afraid of? What's keeping you wanting that person back? The narcissist plays to your vulnerabilities. They always have and they always will. They seek out the things in you that are your soft spots, they're not weaknesses. I'll call them weak points, but they're really the places where we have the most hurt, right? They're actually really strong points. If they were weak, we could let them go, but they're strong points and they're difficult places. They're the hard patches, right? In our life, they seek those out and they feed off it. They feed into it by giving you what you need. They manipulate by gaslighting you through words that touch that very button. They know which button to push. And it's those buttons. That's what we got to see, that's what they're doing. So, and I lost my train of thought again. Okay. Let's see. It feels like they've got friggin' hooks in us. And the stubbornness in me says no to them. And I think, I'm glad she can't see how difficult this is for me. I know. It does feel like hooks. So what are your hooks? Unhook them. You find your own hooks. Everybody's different. Everybody has a hook. Everyone has a vulnerability, a point of trauma, a button to push, something. Even if you had a perfect childhood, you got them. Because everybody has a place where you don't know. Just keep asking yourself then. Ask yourself, what do I need? What do I need from this? What did I get? What did I gain? And sometimes it's the harder questions because we want to think we gain nothing but hurt and pain, but there really is a truth. Like I gained knowing someone cared about me. And right now, frankly, I feel like no one does. No one. I know my kids do, but you know what I mean? Like having another adult human that actually cares. Like, what's that? Right? That's a vulnerability that I had to face would be there when I let go. And there it is. And so you live with it, right? And you care about yourself, and you learn you don't need somebody else to fill that for you. And then the hook unhooks, because you're not looking back to it. You're not thinking, I can tolerate everything just so I can have this caring, just so someone cares, right? Does that make sense how I'm talking about this? Yeah. Okay. All right. People are saying yes, they understand. Okay. I wonder how many here are loners. Introverts or loners? I think we become loners because we can't trust, take trust. Let's do that another day. Okay. I think we can become loners, but I think a lot of personality types like the INFPs, the INFJs in particular, and a lot of us are that, have a loneliness streak that is the sad song we will sing forever, right? It's part of the trait. It's part of the personality to have that deep loneliness, but it's also the depth that we feel, because we feel, especially the higher up you are in your feeling, we feel a lot. Okay. And there's nowhere to put it. There's no one else who can contain it. We just feel it. So that loneliness. Anyway, go back to trauma bonding. I could talk about the other stuff all day, but let's get back here. You're not being negative, Robin. You say what you need to say. And I actually loved your little poem. It wasn't a poem, but I loved your words, because that hopeful in the middle is the piece where I'm seeing your hook. And I don't know you, could be different, but just look at it, because that hopeful, put hope somewhere else. Your hope is in the rest of your life, not back on this toxic person. It's romantic, and it's part of the trauma bonding, right? Let go of romance. This ain't a fairy tale. This is reality. This person's a toxic person. Yeah, I got to get a little cold with yourself. I think sometimes we're so feely, right? We want to believe, we want to feel, we want to keep going, right? But sometimes it's not tough love, but it's a reality check. You got to give yourself that reality check. I see that tank full of sharks. The narcissist is one of them. They are actually a shark. I am not going near that tank. They're not a little innocent guppy swimming around in the shark tank that I need to go pull out because the poor shark, right? The poor guppy. But no, they're a shark. Let them be. Don't touch the shark. Okay. You can jump the shark, but don't touch the shark. And the anger of all the stuff that I am becoming aware of. Yes, I became a loner now. Is it a justifiable anger? Because that's a really good place to get into. Not that you want to be angry all the time, but to be angry about the situation. It's the place where you start to see what really happened. Okay. So for some people. Hi, Mo Cowboy. Safer without tools to isolate. Learn the tools, share the tools. Even a wounded animal will become a loner while they heal. That's right. It's okay to be a loner. It sure is. It's okay to be a loner. And it's also, as a human being, you often need to reach out. So it's good that we have groups like SPAN. You can be in the Spanily and not actually have to even talk, and you don't feel so alone, right? Just knowing that there's other people going through what you're going through can help. So yeah, sometimes it's the need to be alone, and sometimes it's the need to reach out. And it's knowing what you need. That's another part of healing from trauma bonding, is understanding what you need. We think we need the narcissist. We don't need the narcissist. We don't need someone. We don't need someone who's toxic, stepping in, saving the day, and then dumping on us yet again. That's just more of the same cycle, right? Don't need it. What we need is, we don't know. What do we need? What do you need? You figure it out. This is what you get to do is rediscover who you are. You get to discover the things about yourself that make your life better. And then what happens is you don't need someone to fill those needs. And then when you go out there and you do meet people, if you choose to, you're not going out of need. You're going out of the desire to be around other human beings. So, all right. Okay. Anything else about trauma bonding that you guys, what time is it? Okay. Got about 5-10 more minutes. Learning healthy coping skills. That's kind of what I was talking about with knowing who you are, learning who you are again when you're trauma bonded. I mean, there's not much more to say about trauma bonds. We know what they are. That's what they are. It's pretty simple, and it's a simple, very complex thing, right? And getting out of it is self-discovery. So, like I said, getting out of trauma bonding, looking the narcissist or toxic person square in the eyes, and you don't have to actually look at them. Looking at them in your mind's eye, right? For exactly who they are. They are nothing else except who they are. Let go of potential, let go of hope, let go of all the romantic and lovely feelings that you want to pour into that situation. Don't do it. This isn't about feeling. It's about logic. When the feelings are sucked into the trauma bonding, your thoughts are trying to tell you over and over and over and over again, and you're not listening because you can't, because of the trauma bonds, right? The cognitive dissonance, one side's right almost always. This isn't good for me. Oh, but it feels like I could just make it better. It'll be okay if I just do this. It's all my fault. You see which side's better. If you look at it for the situation and think about someone else, you can totally see which side is right. So it's finding that place and listening to that logic, and it hurts because your heart is there and it wants so much for it to be right, but you got to, separate that. The logic is telling you something, and that combined with self-discovery. So you pour all that feeling, and you pour all that emotion, and you pour all that pain into yourself, into finding what nurtures you, what takes care of you. And, what kept you there? What are you afraid of? All of that stuff. So that helps. There is a trauma bond support group. I haven't been running it lately, but I could. If people sign up, if you go to Life Makeover Academy and find it over there, I'll post a link in today's description to the group. People sign up, I run it, and we go. So there we go. I just haven't been advertising it because I've been doing other groups, but I'll gladly pick it up anytime anyone needs a trauma bonding group. So, and what we work on in there is all the stuff I'm talking about, plus personal topics related to that. And it can be useful to have a group to support each other, especially if you're trying to leave. Okay, I realized today that the pain stems from my parents splitting when I was a child. And what does it tell you? I mean, that's what I just trace it. I just trace it back, 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 back until I find the belief. And then you can look at that belief and give it some love. Sometimes you just need something and you never got, and you learn to reparent yourself, right? This is getting a little deeper than just trauma bonding now, but I think we're done with the trauma bonding part and we'll just keep going. All right. It's unresolved, Lise. Well, then you work to see how to resolve it. Sometimes things don't get resolved. What they get is more perspective around them. Does that make sense? It's just like grief, Where's the grief picture? Let me find it. So grief is, oh my gosh, you can't see anything. Grief is the same. It's the same, right? And then, oh, I got some perspective around it, right? Right. And then you get a trigger and you're right back again. What's like this? And then you got to step back and have the perspective. That's just a little picture of it. But anyway, okay. Oh, I'll go read that, Jack. I haven't read my comments yet, so I will read that later. Is it a helpful visual? Good. I know it was brief, but it's a little silly. So, all right. You see the finish line. I'm so glad. Svenusha, hello. They erased the identity. I didn't know who I am due to devaluing and who the people are and who the people around me are, because I couldn't have the ability to trust to see things in people. Exactly. You guys see it. You're all brilliant. You're brilliant. You see it. So learning to trust yourself. I think I have a video a couple back on trusting yourself again, and go watch the one on emotionally safe versus emotionally unsafe people. That can help too, because it can give you some guidelines to think about and some ideas for what to think about when you're trying to trust others, but also when you're trying to trust yourself, how to be an emotionally safe person for other people, for yourself. Okay. We have to be for ourselves as healthy as we can so we can attract and be with people who are healthy, right? Okay. It is exciting and new. You're right. Yes. Once you realize what created your self-limiting belief, it lessens the bond, I think. At least it did for me. It does. It's all of these things. It's seeing them for who they are and seeing you for who you are. Why didn't I think of that before? Okay. When you start to see your self-limiting beliefs, you're seeing yourself for who you are. But the difference is we have potential to change because we do not have the lack of empathy, and we have the ability to be accountable to ourselves. The lack of accountability means no change across the board. If you're not willing to be accountable to your own bits and pieces, it's really difficult to make change, because no one can just walk in there with their little emotional mop and clean your mind out, right? You can't. You have to do it yourself, and you have to see what it is, where the hooks are, where your beliefs are, and what has not so much what has created them. That's important, and that's more like therapy and whatnot. But what are those beliefs, and what do I want them to be instead, and how can I get there? And that's what I love talking to people about, one-on-one at least. It's my favorite thing to talk to people about, is helping them shift their beliefs and using NLP practices to get there. It's fabulous. All right. Lise, sorry, but I feel in my experience that women are insecure most of the time anyway. Really? Do you think that's because women act? Do you think that because women act this way, many miss that a lot of these women may be NPD and don't know? I don't know that I think most women are insecure. I think a lot of women are insecure. I think men are insecure too. But I think our society has standards by which we're supposed to be certain ways, act certain ways, blah, 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 that have programmed an entire society to view women as a certain thing. That's a whole nother topic, but let's go with it as if that is we know this for sure, that women are insecure, or more insecure of most of the time. Yes, they would miss red flags. They would miss all the red flags, because when we go into any relationship, doesn't matter man or woman, when you enter into a new relationship from an insecure place inside yourself, what you're doing is you're entering into it with your vulnerabilities. You're not entering into it with an open mind and open heart. You're entering into any relationship you step into with your vulnerabilities basically on a silver platter. Okay? Because you're asking, please meet my needs. Please fix me. Please be what I need to make me feel whole. Please connect with me because I don't know how to connect with myself. Is what we're asking for when we're insecure, right? And a predator is going to say, okay, I can do that for about 3 months or a couple of years, and then you're mine, right? They're not actually thinking that, but it's why it fits so perfect. Because sure, they'll figure out what those insecurities are really fast, and they'll start giving you everything you need to fill it, and then they take it away. Because who can sustain that? It's not healthy in either direction. So learning to heal those pieces of yourself is important. Okay, what am I missing here? Stop ignoring the elephant taking a dump in the middle of the room. Radical acceptance is the key. That's right. Totally have to see it. Okay. Just realizing the depth of my mother's insecurity. I used to think she was solid and confident. She's actually a covert narcissist. That's right. Because they project their insecurities all over everybody else. And so then they can present with the mask. Somebody else is holding the accountability for their actions, not them. Do you see how it works? Pretty bad. All right. Okay, I think we're done with trauma bonds for today, unless anybody has anything else about trauma bonds, or you can totally go off topic now. I don't care. We're done with that part, and we're at an hour, so I'm going to end pretty soon here and go get some water and rest my voice before I got to work later. Okay. All right. I don't, okay. Can I go into schools and teach this? Can you go into schools and teach this? I don't know. Can you? I don't know. I don't know what the school's stipulations would be, and you'd have to figure that out. Can you do it? You know if you can do it, right? The problem with teaching it to kids, they don't see it, right? And they're all in their selfish states of individuation and growing up when they're teens anyway. So it's really hard to pass this on the way we talk about it, right? But I bet you could. Okay. Anything different if my narcissist ex has passed away? In what regards? Yes, there's the fact that you can't get closure. Truth is, Life's Revival, none of us can. None of us can. But it feels more permanent, right? It feels more permanent that you can't get closure. There may be a guilt element that you feel terrible about someone that's passed away, that you just like literally hate someone who's died, can feel bad about yourself. I don't know. You tell me what you're feeling that feels different than what you hear other people say. Is there anything in it that you feel you can't resolve that has to do with them being deceased? So what do we do with it? What do you mean, what do we do with it? Jack, say more. Hate and love, right? Yeah, hate and love. And what do you feel about the hate and love? Keep going. Talk to my high schooler in a safe way. Exactly. What do we do with our knowledge? I didn't say don't share it. I said do what you think you want to do with it. We heal ourselves. We live the best lives we can. We keep our own lives safe, first of all. We be there when someone needs to hear something, or we witness something and someone's ready to hear it. We can't go in and force people to listen, obviously, right? It's all kinds of stuff to do with the knowledge. But first and foremost, you live the best life you can with this knowledge, just like any other knowledge of the way human interaction works. So Yeah, I mean, sometimes we go in and we teach it or we talk about it or we share it with others, and other times we live it as our own reality with the acknowledgement of what it is. Does that make sense? Sort of like we don't all like you may be a person that is super knowledgeable in cooking and nutrition and whatever else, but that doesn't mean everybody is going to go and teach it that knows how to do it, right? But maybe you are that person. It's up to you, right? Whatever you want to do with it is what I say. Um, okay. I know schools drop history before they fake. It's all fake teaching. Right? Teacher behavior. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if like I said, if you want to do that, Jackie, do it. I wasn't trying to dissuade you. I was just saying um, the approach would be different if I were talking to teens personally, especially teens. The approach would not be so direct. Or maybe it would be. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I don't work with kids. So work with the adults. So, I mean, I have my own kids, but I don't work in this regard with kids. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. I think with the disbelief was one thing that was keeping me hooked. Could not believe someone could really be like this. Could not wrap my mind around it. It's so far from your reality. Yep, it is. You almost have to think different species in a way. You almost have to think, you have to just have faith that it is what it is. Does that make sense? But it's not just faith. You can back it with proof. You can back it with evidence. And once you step away enough, and once you break the trauma bonds enough, you no longer need that faith. It just is what it is. It is what it is. You just shake your head and you think, there is no accountability, none. And when they have what looks like accountability, it's completely retracted and flipped around within however long, depending on the person. So that to me was the biggest, easiest way to see it for what it is to see that not only can I not really see much empathy in this person, there's no accountability, not for one piece of any of it. Yeah. Okay. You shake your head too, right? It's all you can do sometimes. All right. Nikki Ann says, I had to keep a journal of the bad stuff he did because it made me believe I was the one in the wrong. He made me believe I was in the wrong. Dated the journal and it gave me undeniable proof. That's right. That's a good way to do it. You write it down for yourself. That's another way to help breaking trauma bonds is, writing it down so that you have the cognitive dissonance makes things go, yes, no, all the time, just like the push pull of the love bomb and devalue does on the outside. So writing it down is just like a list. This is what happened to me. I can't deny these things happened to me. I can try and justify them away, but I can't deny them. So, okay. Okay. Well, not all Leos are selfish and crazy because I'm one. Maybe a little crazy, but not selfish. Yeah, everyone's encouraging you, Jack. Do it. Find your way in. Find your way to do it. Figure it out. And then let me know how that went. I'll bet it would be interesting to be able to share this with youngsters, young people. Okay. It is a very strange experience. You're right. Okay, everyone. I'm still somewhat at shock at what I'm learning he did to me behind my back. Huh. And there is another one that, yeah, because you can't even yell in his face, right? Because he's not here. That makes it hard. So, but understand that anything you would do wouldn't give you closure anyway. Life's revival, the closure comes from when you have the recognition that what they did is actually what they did, you can create your own closure. And that's again another topic, and I'm going to have to end here. So, okay. I love them, and that's the problem. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Right. but my feeling is when you get to where the trauma bonds are not there, or when they're much, much less gripping at you, the feeling of love fades, because you may still have a love feeling, but that it's tied in with the chemistry. It's tied in with the way the brain's firing. When we break up with someone, you meant Lise? Lise, I'm confused. I'm lost. Oh, I'm talking about something else because, okay, that's okay. That's okay. Right. But that is another Leo's, I see. Yeah. Oh, hence my hair because of the Leo. Yeah. It's like only if they only hadn't done it. All the if onlys. We got to get rid of the if onlys. Got to get rid of the hope and the seeing potential. That's my hook, man. I see potential in everyone. That's why I love my job, because I see potential in people. But I got to be careful who I place that faith in, that they can meet that potential. And honestly, it's not my business whether someone else meets their potential. That's another piece. We want them to meet their potential. It's not our business if someone else meets their potential. It's up to them to rise up and meet their own dang potential. It's up to us to meet our own potential, as much as we can. And we get so wrapped up in trying to fix them, we lose ourselves. So not good. Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys. Gonna head out for today. It was great. Thank you for being here. What if I start crushing on a therapist? Not you, no offense. Oh. It's okay. Then you realize you're in a state of transference. Read up on transference. Read it up. Read up. Understand what's happening. What I think that is a good sign that you are starting to love yourself. You're starting to love yourself. You're letting love in, and you're letting goodness in, and a good therapist mirrors back to you who you are. Okay. And if they're mirroring back to you something beautiful, they're mirroring back you. So realize that you're loving yourself and try to detach from the desire to have the needs met for a relationship, and realize what you need is a relationship with yourself. Does that make sense? The feelings are real, but they're not being directed. It's projecting. You're projecting and transferring onto somebody that is your therapeutic support. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what you're asking? I don't know. That's how I see it. I don't know. Maybe you're talking to someone else. I don't know. All right. I wish you a lovely weekend too, Belle. And you are all family, spanily, and the like, right? Here we go. You're welcome. And thank you. Let's see. And loads of love to all of you. Okay. Yeah. But Paula, really, it's you that you're starting to see, if that's what you're feeling sometimes. Think about it, look at it, read up on transference and see if it fits. And I don't know, when I've heard of it happening, the times I've heard of it happening have been good things because the person was ready to love themselves. The problem is being able to let go of connecting it back to the therapist, right? And if it's bad enough, you may need to switch therapists. That's what happens sometimes, right? Or not. Just depends on how you can handle it yourself and how you handle those feelings. So it's natural though, and it happens with, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you guys, if you have not subscribed and you would enjoy these live streams, I'm trying to come on 5 days a week soon. I may add a weekend time here this weekend. It depends on what goes on. So stay tuned for notifications. Speaking of which, hit the subscribe so you get the notifications. If you would like notifications texted to you, text me at 33222. Put the words Lise Live all in one word, LISELIVE, and I will send you notifications about 10 minutes before I go on. That's the only notification you'll get from me. And if you enjoyed this topic, hit the thumbs up so that I know what you guys like talking about. If you have any topics ever you want to talk about, please leave me messages, leave me notes in any of the comments of any videos. I try to get to see them. I do my best to, if it's a topic I can do, I'll do it. If it's one I need to think about, sometimes I got to wait. It depends how busy life gets. But 5 days a week, I'm going to need some topics, guys. So hit me up with what's going on, and I will help you out with where you're at as best I can. and hopefully help other people. So that's it. All right. You guys take care. I'm just seeing if there's anything else that I missed. Have a happy weekend. You guys take care. I'll see ya. Bye-bye.